In 2009, the internet was in a transformative stage, marking a shift from a niche subculture to an essential part of everyday life. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter had established themselves as the leading platforms on the internet, and smartphones were beginning to quickly find their way into the hands of many, completely changing the way society had access to the internet. Now, anyone with a camera and internet connection had the ability to share their content to a global audience, with the hopeful chance of going viral. And in 2009, there was one man trying to leverage this harder than anyone. This is Richard Heene.
No, I'm going to use my pickup to pick up hot chicks. That's why I invented the all-new Heene Duty Truck Transformer. Yes, 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 yes.
Richard wore many hats: an inventor, storm chaser, and an aspiring reality TV star. In fact, in March of 2009, he and his family appeared on the popular reality TV show Wife Swap not once, but twice. After appearing on 2 different episodes of Wife Swap, Richard wanted more, and so did RDF Productions, who were the producers behind Wife Swap. They pitched the show to TLC, who recently had massive success with their family reality TV show John and Kate Plus 8. But despite their efforts, TLC declined their offer, effectively ending Richard's shot at becoming a reality TV star. But Richard Heene had a plan. On October 15, 2009, the Heene family was working on what Richard described as a science experiment in their backyard in Fort Collins, Colorado. Richard had built a large saucer-shaped helium-filled balloon, a strange silvery creation that looked like something straight out of a low-budget sci-fi movie. According to Heene, the object was a prototype for an invention. Heene's goal that day was to test whether, once filled with helium, the balloon could generate propulsion using electrical charges by applying a positive charge on the top and a negative charge on the bottom, allowing it to potentially be steered left or right. Let's let Richard explain it.
So can you describe this aircraft that you were talking about and what specifically it was used for?
Well, what I'm trying to invent is a roll out of the garage vehicle, kind of like the Jetsons, I guess. You fill it up with helium because you can recycle helium, and it runs off 1,000,000 volts on the outer skin, which creates a plasma field to direct it in different directions. But I don't want to talk much about that anymore.
The balloon itself was enormous, about 20 feet in diameter, made from thin plastic and aluminum foil, tethered to the ground by ropes. On that day, Richard, along with his wife Mayumi and their 3 sons, were gathered in the yard to watch the test launch. But in a chaotic moment, the balloon became untethered and lifted off into the sky, quickly soaring out of reach. Panic ensued when Richard and Mayumi couldn't find their 6-year-old son, Falcon. In their home footage of the accidental takeoff, Falcon's brothers can be heard stating that Falcon had been playing near the balloon before it took off, and the horrifying realization set in that Falcon had crawled into the small compartment beneath the balloon moments before it broke free. Richard Heene would first call the Federal Aviation Association, or FAA, following the logic that they would have a helicopter that could locate and follow the balloon. FAA would direct him to call 911, which he did.
It's a flying saucer. Yeah. And that's gone too, right?
I'm sorry?
How long is the flying saucer gone as well?
Yeah, about 20 minutes, I think.
They've both been missing for about 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the call, Richard and Mayumi sound frantic, telling the dispatcher that Falcon had been playing near the balloon and might have accidentally climbed inside the compartment before it became untethered and floated away.
He does not know how to operate, and that's gone though too, right? So we are sure that he's in that.
Yeah, we looked everywhere, and then my son just said, being terrified, he said, yeah, he went inside just before it went off because we had it tethered. It wasn't supposed to take off.
While Richard was on the phone with 911, the Heenes would also contact 9 News, hoping that they too would have a helicopter that could track the balloon.
Yeah, he's doing it. I think of calling somebody.
He what?
He's calling somebody.
He's calling somebody?
Yeah.
Who's calling somebody?
My husband.
Okay, let me talk to him.
Okay. Oh, no. Yes.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Did you find him?
No.
Okay.
I haven't found him yet.
Okay, where was the saucer? Was it in the backyard?
Yeah, here, take that. Hello?
Yes, is this Richard?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
As the balloon ascended higher into the sky, it soon became the focal point of a media frenzy.
I'm going to ask all three of you to hang on just a minute because we have rather an incredible breaking news story that we're following right now. And this is coming to us out of Colorado. What you all see right there is an experimental aircraft that inside of which is a 6-year-old boy.
Some pretty unbelievable pictures coming to us live.
In the skies above Denver, Colorado, one of the strangest things in the history of my television career is going down.
It is like a horrific version of the movie Up that was released earlier this year.
Local authorities, the FAA, and rescue teams quickly sprang into action. Helicopters were dispatched to track the balloon's movement as it dangerously drifted through the air. The balloon floated across northern Colorado, reaching altitudes of over 7,000 feet. Major news outlets picked up the story within minutes, and soon, millions of viewers across the world were glued to their screens watching the live footage with bated breath. The balloon's path eventually headed towards Denver International Airport, one of the largest airports in the United States, delaying numerous flights. The situation grew more tense by the minute, all live on national TV. The balloon's delicate structure caused an unpredictable flight path, which made it difficult to predict when and where this might end. With no clear way to bring the balloon down safely, authorities feared the worst. The nation collectively held its breath, fearing that if Falcon was indeed inside, his life was in imminent danger.
And we have just been told this thing is now down to 300 feet. Now it's at 100 feet. Let's us all take a deep breath. If you are predisposed to do so and you want to say a little prayer, you might want to do so now.
Would you look at this?
He's going down.
All right, it's going down now. I'm going to cut you off.
Look at that.
Very softly.
Look at that.
Is there a 6-year-old boy about to come out of this thing? What we hope is we're about to see a little kid walk out of there looking around going, what in the world? Where am I? What just happened?
This is phenomenal news. We've been watching this play out.
I'm watching it, I see it.
Unbelievable.
I've got some information that I'm not quite sure how to say it, but I don't believe that they found anybody with this balloon. They backed off, they punctured holes in it to make it non-flyable at this point, but they have not found any child. There was no child on board this balloon at this point.
After flying in the air for over an hour, the balloon landed softly in a field around 12 miles from the Denver airport. But after first responders checked the balloon, there was still no sign of Falcon, which meant Falcon never entered the balloon in the first place, or that Falcon fell out of the balloon at some point during the 50-mile flight.
Now, new information we're just learning. One of the sheriff's deputies from Weld County apparently is reportedly telling his or her people, that indeed he actually saw some kind of object fall from that balloon.
You can see the hot air balloon up there and something below. There's a dot there, and obviously it's unclear what that could be. It could be anything.
In fact, you can't really tell anything here. I wonder if there's a little smearing over here, which would indicate something else going on over here. But nonetheless, you're right. We don't know anything other than this is a dot down below this.
Officials searched near the Platte Valley Airport, which is the area where the deputy claimed to have seen an object fall from the balloon. Search teams were on horseback, ATVs, and helicopters. The Colorado National Guard also assisted in the mission to find Falcon, either dead or alive. If Falcon was still alive, it would most likely mean that Falcon never entered the balloon in the first place. With this possibility in mind, homes in the Heene's neighborhood were searched and yellow crime scene tape was placed around their house. The search for Falcon was officially on. However, America and officials started to get suspicious of the Heene's. Investigators searched the Heene house numerous times and conducted several interviews with Falcon's older brothers, specifically Bradford Heene, who was the one that told Richard and Mayumi that Falcon had entered the balloon.
This is CNN Breaking News.
He's alive and at home right now. That little 6-year-old boy, Falcon, we are now being told by the Larimore County Sheriff's Office, he has been found and he is okay.
He's been located, he's alive, he's at the house. So all of the reports that we had earlier, fortunately, misinformation.
At approximately 4:05 p.m., Falcon entered the Heene's living room. Falcon said that he was hiding in the Heene's attic after getting scolded by Richard Heene for playing near the balloon. He said that he was scared. Everyone was relieved and happy that Falcon was alive and well, but now the Heene's had even more questions to answer.
There's been rumors that this might be a big publicity stunt or a hoax. Please address that.
That's horrible. I mean, you know, after the crap we just went through, no.
In an attempt to answer all of these questions in front of millions of Americans, the Heene's did an interview with CNN's Wolf Blitzer.
Who the hell is Wolf?
In this interview, Wolf Blitzer asked Falcon if he had heard people yelling for him while the house was being searched. Wolf then asked Falcon why he chose to stay in the attic if he had heard people calling for him, and Falcon's response?
He's asking Falcon, did you hear us calling your name at any time? You did?
You did?
Why didn't you come out?
You guys said that we did this for the show.
What did he mean, we did this for the show?
I have no idea. I think he was talking about the media. Had been asking him a lot of questions, so somebody had asked him that question earlier.
If Richard Heene wanted a viral moment, he got one. Balloon Boy was a #1 search topic on Google, memes spread across the internet. Everyone was talking about Balloon Boy.
Balloon Boy, Michael Jackson's funeral. Things that if you didn't see them live, you wouldn't really care that you didn't see them at all.
The next morning, the Heene's would make another nationally televised appearance, this time on the Today Show.
So let me just ask you right now, just put it out there and get your honest answer. Was this a hoax or a publicity stunt?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And now I'm starting to get a little ticked off because I'm repetitively getting asked this in the last couple of interviews. I mean, what have I got to gain out of this? And I'm not selling anything. I'm not advertising anything. My family and I, we do this all the time. You know, we're always doing some kind of scientific research. We're always building something together. I teach my kids how to shoot cameras.
The court of public opinion was ready to convict the Heene's, but now it was the authorities' turn. Still, no charges were made, but after 2 very questionable TV appearances, Larimer County Sheriff Jim Alderden wanted answers. Did they intentionally lead authorities on a wild balloon chase for the sake of the show? Or was this one big accident? Later on that Friday of October 16th, just one day after the balloon chase, Sheriff Alderden went on Fox News and stated that they still believed this was not a hoax, but they wanted to speak with the Heene's one more time.
Well, let me say this. Based on our interviews yesterday with the family and our total interaction with the family, we believe that this was a legitimate incident and not a hoax. We still believe that. However, in light of the interview that occurred last night on CNN with Wolf Blitzer and a little boy saying something to the effect of we did it for the show, we think we have an obligation to go back and try to clarify that with the family and put this issue to rest as to whether it was some sort of a publicity stunt or not.
Heene still had media outside their house begging Richard to just admit that this was all one big publicity stunt.
I don't know how to, quite frankly, answer any of them other than I've got a box, and so later on tonight, 7:30, I want to meet you guys again. I can look these questions over, and then I can answer them, okay? So I'm going to place the box up front. Please write your questions down, because I've got stuff. Friends are telling me they're saying this and that. I have no idea what the news is saying. I'm not, I don't have a cable, so, okay?
Can you just ask you our questions now?
No, not at all. I want them in print.
Could you just say once and for all, was this some sort of publicity stunt? Was this a hoax? And will you talk to the police today?
Absolutely no hoax. I want your questions in the box. I'll get right back to you, okay?
Richard didn't want to talk to the media anymore. However, Richard and Mayumi both agreed to answer more questions from the authorities, and the authorities got exactly what they were looking for.
And the mom of the so-called balloon boy admits it was all a lie in a newly released court document, but that's not all that she's saying.
According to this affidavit, Mayumi confessed to investigator Robert Heffernan that Richard Heene lied to authorities on October 15th, and this was indeed an intentional hoax. A story fabricated for future media interests, a hoax they crafted approximately 2 weeks prior.
Originally, we wanted to make it on Monday, which was our anniversary, but we didn't get it finished. And so naturally falling to Thursday, but kids were off school, so we thought that was perfect.
Okay, because the kids were out of school, you thought that'd be a good day to run this.
The confession might have been a dagger for the Heenes, but evidence of the hoax continued to surface. Just one day after the balloon chase, Business Insider reported that an unnamed college student from the Denver area claimed to have proof that the incident was indeed a hoax. A hoax that he and Richard Heene had orchestrated months earlier. The student was willing to sell this information to the highest bidder, and that bidder turned out to be Gawker, who purchased and published the story the following day. The article included documents detailing the relationships between Richard Heene and the seller. The seller was Colorado State University student, researcher, entrepreneur Robert Thomas, who shared Heene's interests in electromagnetics. After working on some projects together, Richard asked Thomas if he would help write a formal proposal to TLC for a 52-week Mythbusters meets Mad Scientist TV show. Thomas agreed, and the two of them spent numerous hours together brainstorming ideas for the show. The two of them eventually discussed the Roswell incident, an incident that occurred in 1947 when the United States sent out these top-secret Project Mogul balloons that were essentially weather balloons with listening devices in them that helped the United States detect Soviet nuclear tests during the Cold War. However, when one crashed near Roswell, New Mexico, it sparked a conspiracy theory that these were flying saucers or a crashed extraterrestrial spacecraft. Regardless, this was the cause of major controversy and became national news after many people became skeptical if these were indeed just weather balloons or were they actually UFOs. Either way, Heene knew he and Thomas could pull off something similar. The Heene's balloon and the Roswell balloon were very much alike, both made of tinfoil, paper, tape, and sticks. Thomas claimed that Richard stated, "This will be the most significant UFO-related news event to take place since the Roswell crash of 1947, and the result will be a dramatic increase in local and national awareness about the Heene family, our reality series, as well as the UFO phenomenon in general." After Thomas helped Richard construct this balloon idea, he never imagined that Richard would soon be involving his 6-year-old son. Thomas said his only interest in the project was that maybe this would bring more attention to their other projects and could provide more awareness and funding to the science projects that they were working on. But Richard was only concerned with the fame that was to come from this show. Thomas eventually quit working with Richard, and Richard failed to pay Thomas for his time. On top of all of this, TLC denied the proposal. So on October 17, just a few days after the balloon chase, Sheriff Alderton finally announced that they believed this was in fact a hoax, and charges were coming. 2 days before Christmas of 2009, Richard was sentenced to 90 days in jail, and Mayumi was sentenced to 20 days in jail after Richard pled guilty to a felony charge of attempting to influence a public official, and Mayumi pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge of making a false report. The Heenes also had to do some community service and pay $36,000 in restitution. Richard ended up serving 30 days in jail and 60 days in a work release program. Mayumi did her 20 days of alternative jail time, which meant spending 10 weekends working for local nonprofits.
Governor Polis announced clemency for 22 people, including 2 pardons for the balloon boy parents.
We're going to go ahead and grant you this pardon. I'm thinking, whoa, it was amazing. But I got to say, it really made my day. It was extremely scary, beyond scary, to think that, my son was up in the balloon.
So why did the governor of Colorado pardon the Heenes in 2020? On the surface, this was a home run for the prosecution. All of the evidence pointed toward this being an obvious constructed hoax. But what if I told you some of this evidence wasn't that factual after all, and things aren't always as they appear? The balloon. The balloon itself was a crucial part of this investigation. There was controversy over the size of the balloon, which matters because this dictates whether or not the balloon could actually hold Falcon. Investigators claimed that the balloon was 16 feet wide, and at that size, the balloon would not be capable of holding Falcon. And investigators claimed that Richard had knowledge of that, which meant it would have been impossible to believe that Falcon was ever inside the balloon. However, once the balloon was measured, the balloon was actually 20 feet wide, and at that size, this balloon was more than capable of holding a 40-pound 6-year-old. The timeline. In the affidavit, the investigators wrote that Richard and Mayumi contacted 9 News before ever calling 911. However, Richard stated in his interrogation that he first called the FAA, then 911, and while Mayumi was on the phone with 911, Richard then called 9 News. The The confession. Mayumi's confession was a smoking gun for the investigation, but upon reviewing the confession, it appears that Mayumi, who does not speak English as a first language, may not have understood what the investigators were asking her, and they definitely did not translate her statements accurately. With no Japanese interpreter in the room, the investigators asked Mayumi if she knew that Falcon was in the attic. She stated that he was, but she did not know that he was. But in the affidavit, it reads she thought he was, but wasn't sure.
Knew that he was somewhere in the house, but you didn't know he was up in the attic? So who told Falcon? Where was Falcon? Was Falcon in the attic?
Which I really didn't know.
Okay, where was he?
It seemed he was in the attic.
You assumed he was in the attic?
No, I didn't. He was, but I didn't know where he was.
I specifically asked her if her son Falcon was really in the attic the entire time. She stated she thought he was, but wasn't sure.
Whether or not you believe the Heenes, it is easy to see why Governor Jared Polis would pardon them. Allowing their records to be clean, Richard could vote again, and in the end, the Heenes got more than the show that they were asking for. If you like this video, please consider clicking subscribe. Thank you.